Skinner, but Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Wanna be held tight? Well, now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have 'em some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT. Hubba, 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 heat of the night on TNT. Yeah. It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country.
Guillermo.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are live.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KFT.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat Big Wednesday with Larry Powell and Guillermo Moreno. You just can't stop our show. You can't stop the Autry Show. You can only hope to contain it. You can't stop it. Our numbers continue to grow. Es muy grande.
Was the UFO topic yesterday?
Oh, we're going to hit that today.
Oh,
I am so ticked off. A rising star just turned his career into ashes yesterday. One Byron Donald.
Oh, they talk about me.
Florida. Oh, you were ashes a long time ago.
Oh, man.
You went Jewish a long time ago. Ashes on the head. So shameful.
It was funny.
You got to explain that to me about the Jewish tradition. I think that's for shame, isn't it? When you took the ashes and sackcloth. You ought to wear both of them, man.
You're out of my league now.
If you weren't Adventist, you'd be in trouble, buddy. But anyway, you can't cancel this show. We're growing thanks to you all, Autry's Army out there, listening via old school radio or online. Appreciate you all so much. I know there's somebody here locally that would like to see me cancel. That's our mayor, Mayor Dyer. I love you. I love you, Mayor. I love you, Jerry. I love you so much. Remember that coach that you love, that coach that was hard on you, I've heard you talk about. Not the nice coaches that said every pitch was great in your softball career, every tackle you made was great. No, the coach that said you took the wrong path on that way, even though you made the tackle, you're going to miss 90% of them because you're using the wrong technique. Now get your head out of your butt, Dyer. Get in there and do what you know you can do. That's me. I love you. I love you like that tough coach. So quit being a softie, a little cream puff. Listen to my coaching. Call me. Don't text me like a 15-year-old middle schooler. I say middle schooler because that's how old I would be in the middle school. Don't text me. Hey, I heard you were calling saying I was a puppy dog with Newsom. By text. What are you doing texting me that? Pick up the phone and say, hey, Autry, I'm unhappy with you. I want to meet with you. Meet me at Mimi's at noon. High noon.
Oh, you guys are going to eat, not talk.
I'll be there, and then we'll have the music. Do not forsake me, oh, my darling. Those will be high noon thing. And I'll be like Gary Cooper. I'll go over there, and we'll talk it out. and I'll coach you up, and you could be the mayor we all know and hope for you to be. Okay, now I got that out of the way. Yep. Breaking news. We'll get to the UFOs later. Ira Donalds. Gosh, I love this kid, and he just blew it. We thought the old slap on the wrist coming from our judicial system and from the legal system on Hunter Biden may be a little premature. Larry Guillermo, who wants to take this because we have breaking news.
Yeah.
And as James Cagney would say, there's something fishy going on here. Go ahead.
There's actually a trial coming. Although I'll tell you what will happen. I think there will be a settlement that will be much more egregious than the one they had.
Well, tell them what the judge said today. A lot of people haven't heard what a judge and the prosecutors said. No deal.
There's no deal for
the plea deal.
Hunter Biden. No plea deal.
It's on hold.
It's on hold, and a trial is being set. So you know what? I think in America, you cheer when you see something being done that is totally un-American. That is giving a break to a family that's made $50 million since Joe Biden has been in office. $50 million, and they've made that much money. And they were getting a break on obvious criminal activities, Well, so this is a cheer time.
But isn't cheer, Larry? I don't mean to put words in. And Guillermo needs you to put on this.
Sorry, I was like,
we're not gonna. Well, you were against even taking that. I'm so tired of the Hunter Biden laptop. I don't want to talk about that. It's much ado about nothing. It's only the biggest thing ever to happen. It's the most biggest thing to happen in politics if you care about a free and fair republic.
I don't know about that.
But we're going to unleash you here in a moment. I'm just saying we're taking the bridle off, and you'll be able to speak your mind. But we're not. I'm not here to convict in my mind or whatever Hunter Biden. As Larry was saying, sometimes though you have so much smoke that you have to check and investigate to see if there is a fire.
Preponderance of evidence.
Yes. Yeah. His team may have a perfect answer that exonerates him. They may have exculpatory, I like to look for ways to use that word, exculpatory information. And being a lawyer,
Exculpatory.
Exculpaneously. That's what I can speak. They may have information that would show him to be innocent on all of these accusations, all of these whistleblowers that are coming down, including his two business partners. Guillermo, my question to you, and you guys feel free to interchange on this because I happen to think this is a huge thing. And it is, to me, it's even bigger reason to celebrate whichever way it goes. They investigate him and he's innocent. Right. Okay.
America's system worked.
Our President Trump went through 2 impeachments. They didn't find anything. Now, the left's not accepting that. But to me, it's reason to celebrate because you have a system that if you see you're going the wrong direction, meaning a quick settlement with all of the smoke around, and you're going for a real quick settlement based on a limited amount of information, that information could be erroneous, that the system has enough integrity to halt and change course, and you have judges saying, hold on. Isn't it the separation of powers working, if not at its best, at least the way it was intended to work, Guillermo?
Well, this isn't a good example of maybe it is in the sense that here you have a judge that is actually not a constitutional judge, because this Constitution only sets up the Supreme Court. So here you're right. It does show that our system of separation of powers is working in the sense that here you have a judge, and the left today is saying, it's a Trump appointed judge. Like, okay, she had it out for Hunter. But here you have a judge that says, wait a minute, I don't care about what politics is. I don't care who the heck you are in front of me. The reality is this. You're not going to plead to 2 things at once. It's just not going to happen, not in my courtroom. So that's a huge victory, I think, for the American Constitution, for jurisprudence specifically. But, how do they say what's good for the goose is good for the gander? And it also worked in New York against Donald Trump with Alvin Bragg. Whether you like it or not, Alvin Bragg has that ability to bring charges. So here's my overall. So
there was not nearly the preponderance of information and evidence. He turned a misdemeanor into a felony. Alvin Bragg. Big difference between the evidence against Hunter Biden as the evidence against Trump.
And that'll be litigated. Yeah, that'll be litigated. So here's my overall theme of this today. It's not a big deal. and I want to reach out
What
to.
is a big deal to you?
I want to
I would like
UFOs. That's a big.
Yeah.
So no, but let me tell you this.
Gosh, Larry, stop me. Because he'd kick my butt. If I go across this, I'm 70 years old. He'd give me so many rights, I'd pray for a lift. He'd take me down, put me in an arm bar, and I'd have to tap out in front of all of social media. Don't stop me.
But here's the issue, though. I think a lot of people on the right and the far right really want to see Hunter Biden locked up today. They want to see him serving time behind bars. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Everyone that's happy about this is like, yeah, he's going to get his day. He's going to get behind bars.
Would you confine that mindset? Hold on. Keep your train of thought to the far right. Don't you think there's part of the woke left that want Joe Biden out of there now and Gavin Newsom in? So it's not just the far right that want him out of there, correct? There's probably a good section.
You are correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. You're right. So here you have the reality, and it was, I'm going to call it the Hillary Clinton effect. Everybody was like, yeah, just wait until Trump's in there. We're going to get everybody. We're going to get Hollywood. Dang it, the Pope is going in there too.
To give up now. Go ahead.
So they honestly believe that Hillary Clinton was going to see justice. Now I think it's the same people like, yes, our government's working. Thank God we sent Kevin McCarthy to the House. It's good because we're investigating these things. But at the end of the day, folks, I'm looking at the camera. At the end of the day, Hunter Biden will not see a jail cell. It's just not.
Could you put an asterisk by this show,
to
Jeremy? Okay, but make sure you do not lose the show.
Read my lips. Hunter Biden will not see the inside of a jail cell.
You know who said read my lips last?
Ain't gonna happen.
You know
I exactly know why.
You know who said that last? George H. Bush.
Yeah.
Right? Says no new taxes.
Yeah, read my lips.
Did he raise taxes?
Yeah. So I'm not saying if I'm covering for myself or not yet, but he will not.
Sir Lawrence, come in here.
Hold on, wait.
I let him finish here, but I've got a comment.
He's not going to see the inside of a jail cell. It's not going to happen. What you see today, I don't know if it's all political theater. I don't know if it's something where the left realized, and I think you're right. I think maybe a segment of the left is like, wait a minute, this is really going to hit the fan now because this isn't the fire, right? This is you're putting together right now those Dura blocks that you have at home where you start the fire. That you're lining them up. That's all this is so far. But they really need for the American people and the electorate to say, you know what, man, we got to switch out this guy because this is just bad. The dominoes are gonna fall. Right now, I don't see those dominoes even being set up in the event, in essence, to take Biden down.
Well, you know what's going to happen is the only way he won't see the inside of a jail is if his father pardons him.
Exactly.
You know.
And that would happen.
Who's going to pardon his father?
Yeah, I know. He's going to pardon himself.
Oh, that's true.
You can do that.
Who would pardon his father? I got it. Gavin or Kamala would. Because that would be a part of the deal.
You know, here's
the
thing. Is sadly, Larry and I were talking about this. We're living in kind of we're old timers. We'll freely admit it. To ever think.
You and Larry, right?
Yes, okay, right. Exactly. Yeah, we don't believe it.
I'm not 40 yet.
Do you remember 40?
Huh? It was like Clint Eastwood talking about his set decorator. He was talking to his set decorator who was like, he was 93, and he had hired some other guys that were older like him, or not as old as him, but older guys, friends. And I guess one of the guys, Clint walks out on the set decorator there is 93. Clint was about, not 93 at the time. And he sees the set decorator looking at the other guy working, the other old guy working. And he said, hey, Harold, how you doing? And he said, Harold looked over at the guy and he says, to be 80 again. It's all relative.
It is. And where there's a will, there's relatives.
It's relative. No, but here's the thing. We were talking around, Larry and I were talking before the show. There is a possible pathway that I would not say at this point that pathway is probable, but the possibility of this path that was very, very, very narrow a year ago is starting to widen, and that's this. We could be looking at the possibility of a sitting president and the challenger from the other party both going to jail at about the same time, running their campaigns from federal prison. Well, how's that for a freedom of
Wonder if they
Isn't that
can
something that
reopen
happened in
Alcatraz.
America.
Isn't that happened in Venezuela? I mean, you're thinking about that.
Hey,
That
put
could
them together
happen.
in the same cell, please. If
Yeah,
that ever
absolutely.
happens, they'd come out best friends, making
Yeah.
soaps and
Give CNN and Fox both television access. You know? Pay-per-view, we could probably get rid of the deficit.
Oh, no, I
I
pay
mean,
for that.
it's so sad. It's funny, but it's so
It
freaking
is.
sad.
Is that the best America has to offer?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Well, I tell you, this thing, and again, I'm an independent. I always have to make that disclaimer and preface what I'm about to say with that, because people out there go, you're just a Republican because you're pro-life. No, I'm an independent thinker. If you want to put me, policy differences are many with me and RFK. A lot of things, some things we agree on, but he's an independent thinker. Put me in that category as an independent thinker. That's more conservative, much more conservative in my outcomes when I think than RFK. But don't put me in this box. But when I look at this and I say, if you did not have, and I think people, even at the wokest part of the Democratic Party, wherever that land resides, you'd have to say, if it wasn't for the Republican committees, the Republicans taking the House, you wouldn't know any of this stuff. It would go on business as usual. And let me tell you, I differ with Guillermo on this. If a sitting vice president, whether Republican or Democrat, okay, betrays the public trust and is enriching himself and his family and his friends while vice president or a senator, that is a very, 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 very serious thing. Why? It means you're willing to sell out America. In the Ukraine deal, when you say, and he's on tape saying it, that unless you fire the prosecutor that's going after and wants to thoroughly investigate the board of Burisma, which my son sits on, has nothing to do with Ukraine's self-defense or its economy. There's no question, well, you have to show us where this money's going to make sure it's going to benefit the people of Ukraine. No, he made a demand whether it's going to benefit the board that his son is sitting on, and said, we're not going to give you the $1.6 billion that we said we were going to give you. So we're going to put the honor of the United States on the line. President Obama promised you this. I'm here visiting. He's given me the Ukraine, said, go do it, Joe. And they tell the vice president, you can't do that. We have a deal. And the vice president goes, call Barack Obama. See what he says. I have authority to make this deal. You either fire that prosecutor, no question about where the money's going to go. You just fire that prosecutor that's getting ready to investigate my son, or you don't get the $1.6 billion. And then on tape going, well, I'll be damned if 3-4 hours later they didn't fire the prosecutor.
He didn't say, I'll be damned. He said,
yeah, he said something else.
we can't say that on radio.
Son of a bee. They fired him. Now, that is in that one segment more evidence of massive, massive wrongdoing with a foreign country, a corrupt government, by the way. People forget this. It's lost in the war because you have two evils fighting each other.
Amen.
The third most corrupt country in the world. Okay. You make this deal with, on video, you have the person who made the deal said, yeah, I said that. I extorted the guy. And you add up all the information, all of the evidence you have, or they said they had to impeach Donald Trump. Taking just a meeting or a phone call, you had Donald Trump Jr. being in a meeting, realize he's with a Russian agent, hauls butt, gets out of there as soon as he finds out who he's in there with. You took home some documents that may have put the country in jeopardy? $1.6 billion you extort out of a country, a very corrupt country, and then you say, well, wait a minute. What else do you have on this president? Could that be? Does this make you a right-wing Alex Jones wacko to ask this question? We see it on tape. We see Biden doing this, extorting this money. We know that his son was a drug addict. You have emails where the Ukrainian board members are calling Hunter Biden a dope addict and stupid and all of this stuff. They knew that he was with hookers over in Ukraine, a crack addict, sex addict in the Ukraine. with all those beautiful Ukrainian women around. Now, I didn't. 2 plus 2 usually means 4. But you have all of this information and evidence, and yet you don't even want to pursue it, yet you want to continue to pile on indictment after indictment after indictment. And you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, if they have this president compromised, is that why we're sending $80 billion to the Ukraine? And you have Joe Biden say, we'll be with you as long as it takes, as long as you don't release those pictures or you don't tell the American public exactly what happened and tell the American public all that you know. I don't know if that happened. But Larry, Guillermo, doesn't that beg the question? Are you some right-wing wacko to ask those questions?
No, it's obviously very reasonable. The problem is we're not living in a reasonable time.
Amen.
You know, so that's what complicates this whole thing.
It really does. And when you go through the history and when you recount some of the stuff that to you and I seem egregious, let me just tell you again, it doesn't matter. Because when all this information is in front of the American people, they still don't care. Look at these approval ratings.
The judge, thank goodness that judge cared.
Amen. But look at this.
People, I agree. I think people are go ahead.
You know, in one of the recent polls, general election, Trump versus Biden. Ready? This is a YouGov Economist poll. Biden 44%, Trump at 40%. Disapproval. Biden still sits at 42 to 45 approval rating. So here's the question I have for both of you. What is it going to take for the American people to say, oh, yeah, no, this is bad? Are you going to need to see video of a Ukrainian guy with money bags come over to Joe Biden and hand it to him and him go and, kind of sneak away? Like, what is it going to take for the American people to say, you know what? And I say all the American people, the right, the independents, and the far left, because now, up to now, it's not really registering.
Well, you're not going to get everyone. I mean, I was a Republican back in the day with Nixon. You know, when Nixon looked right into the camera and said, your president's not a crook, I don't know anything about Watergate, and lied to the American people, he had to go. In fact, no other than Barry Goldwater, who was like the bastion of conservatism. He didn't win the election, but you didn't get more conservative than Barry Goldwater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Barry Goldwater went to the White House, took the meeting with Richard Nixon, who they were very good friends, and said, Mr. President, you have to leave. Okay? It gets to the point where that happens. But at that time, so it was Republicans that came on board because, to impeach somebody, you have to have a supermajority. As you said, politics is math.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon did the politics, did the head count in the Senate, said, I'm toast, gets on a helicopter and flies up. But my point being, if you look back, if I remember correctly, almost 40% of the people did not want Richard Nixon to leave, even though he lied to the people. These were diehard Republicans, and you would have people on the left, a significant portion, I would say mid-30s on both sides. Yeah. So it's up to that 65% of us who say, even if it's somebody of our own party. I mean, you have to almost be like the family. You have a child who commits an egregious murder or egregious crime, and you say, I love you, son or daughter, but you have to pay for this. You have to go to jail. You see that not often, but you see it. And the parties have to start disciplining their own.
Sure.
And say, hey, we're going to be the first ones to hold our candidates to the highest of integrity, not compare it to the worst behavior on your side, the other side of the aisle.
Today's day and age and world that we live in, everything is on video or taped. You have access to things you never had access to before, so courage is in very short supply. And the reason is because somebody will come up with something about you if you speak up that will make you look bad. And so you have to have the heroes out there who finally say, no matter what happens to me, this is bad for America, so I need to speak up.
So what, Larry, which we were talking about before the show, could you not put those two IRS whistleblowers in that category? When you break it down, what do they really have to gain? Maybe they write a book or whatever, but they are now ostracized forever from the Democratic Party. They're looked at as turncoats. Neither one of them look like they're gifted to become a media contributor.
Yeah. They won't come down as heroes in the long run anyway.
They simply
so it is courage
they
on their part.
They simply did it because
The
their
right thing.
conscience made them do it.
Yep,
And to me, those are heroes.
absolutely.
Because we can always, when somebody comes forward, you can always use them 90% of the time. Find where, this is going to benefit that person down the line over here. Oh, that person. What's Kissinger? Not Henry Kissinger. The guy that was in this January 6th.
Oh gosh, that guy. Yeah.
Okay, Adam Kissinger. You're thinking, okay, he's auditioning for a contributor on CNN. Sure enough, last night, there he is.
Absolutely.
Paid contributor, for CNN. I mean, it works both ways with Fox.
But I go back to my question. Those two whistleblowers.
No, there's no such thing as UFOs.
Yeah.
Those two whistleblowers. It's very important information, but the American people still don't think that reaches that pinnacle. So my question to you is, what would reach that pinnacle where you would have a Nixon moment where his party would say, "Hey, guy, you got to go."
Where?
Having lived through Nixon and all of that happened, we ended up with Ford and we ended up with Carter. Okay. So you have a decrease decrease in the level of competency whenever you have a crisis you have to live out publicly. And that's really sad because it makes all of the really highly competent people scurry away because they don't want to put their families through that. They don't want to put their friends through it. Even when they have a pretty clean background, you end up with just absolute craziness. So people are afraid of the crazies and of being labeled one and of having it, forever out in the hinterland of the internet where somebody can bring it up at some time in the future.
See, I think and Guillermo, you hit.
Let me rephrase it for the listeners that might be joining. What would it take to have that Nixon moment now with Joe Biden? As in, he would have to step back and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm done.
I think the unfolding of this testimony from Devin Archer is going to come next week. The evidence keeps coming in that's irrefutable.
But what?
Got of Hunter Biden's and Jim Biden and Joe Biden's cabal, along with others, to basically pay for play for American policy. We want money to steer American policy in your favor rather than on behalf of the American people. They were enriching themselves by selling policy to these countries.
That's not salacious.
There's an old thing
not sexy,
called spend to win. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to spend whatever comes out. I don't think right now I'm going to be a little bit on the weird side of things for me because I'm usually really positive. I don't think there is that moment for Biden. I think they let him sail out into the sunset and get through his presidency. I think it may affect his becoming a candidate again, but they're going to let him ride out,
No, I think he's going to be the candidate still. I think they're. Let me go back to what I said a couple shows on, probably about 2 or 3 weeks. Remember when I said we were talking about Ukraine and we were talking about what the left and what Biden needs to secure a second term? And I said it would be something like an international conflict that pretty much all of our eyes were over there and we became patriotic, like sending troops into Ukraine. I think at that point, you step back and you say, whoa, you know what? Forget about Hunter. Forget about Trump. This is about the United States. This is about those evil Russians. And this is where I'm going to kind of relate it back to today. I really hope that this Hunter Biden thing doesn't really blow up because I think with this party, you've seen it, and I still think they're responsible for COVID to a certain extent. You've seen this party use the American people and really harm the American people for their benefit. So if this starts going in a really bad way for Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and more stuff comes up and you have that smoking gun, you got to be real careful that this administration doesn't do something really dumb to hopefully grab everyone's attention. It's like the movie Wag the Dog. Remember Wag the Dog? The fake war? Mm-hmm. And just to change perception. So that's why I think we really got to take a step back because this could be really bad, I think, for America if we go all the way in.
Well, we're already doing it in Ukraine. It's a big yawn to most people. I think what we're facing, you touched on, is until honesty and integrity starts to mean something, and particularly young people, because young people are the one that handed Biden this last election. It's got to mean something. right now, I'm sorry to say, to most people, lying doesn't really matter unless you get caught. There's so much corruption. We've seen so many movies where power and money gets rewarded. It doesn't matter who you step on the way up if you never come down. And I think it coincides with the decline in faith in this country. People going to church. There was because you don't have a commonality that runs through cultures and socioeconomic groups, that there's some basic agreement on right and wrong, on the major things. As to say, it's wrong if you steal from your neighbor. Well, under any circumstance, you don't steal. That's just a biblical perspective. But somebody says, well, I don't think it's wrong because they have enough, their dad is working, they have enough money to feed themselves. My parents aren't making enough money. So I have a right to some of their wealth. I have a right to go steal that car and sell it because they have more than me. You can take that thing, well, everybody, I call it, well, everybody's doing it factor. You know, you need to tell the truth on something. Why? Where's that going to get me in this world when the truth is punished and lies are rewarded? They do this calculation, and if you don't have morality in the equation, you either don't let it bother you, you just go ahead and lie, or you're apathetic to the whole thing, like they are right now with Hunter Biden. Oh, it's okay. Hey, the vice president, made a bunch of money selling American influence. That really doesn't touch me at home.
Everybody does it.
Everybody does it. No big thing. And the thing is, that slippery slope of morality doesn't just stop there. You let that go, and really horrible things happen. In Europe, they're over there in Italy, they're in Spain, they're in England, and there's Germany going, well, you know, he's over there killing millions of Jews, but it really doesn't affect us here. It doesn't affect our people. They knew what he was doing, oppression that the Jewish people under in Germany. You know, the gang violence in the poor neighborhoods here. Oh, it's all happening in Southwest Fresno, Southeast Fresno. They're killing them each other. I know it was a 17-year-old that was shot and this little 5-year-old in the park. But hey, they're not out at Woodward Park yet. I mean, it's just part of the thing. It's just part of life. What should you do? You should go bring up those gangs. Well, no, don't send the gang members to jail. That would be, you start, you know, losing a grasp of what justice is, of the importance of fairness and integrity and honesty, and realizing if you embody those things, as the Bible says, you will not be rewarded. You have to have the guts, as Larry says, and the courage to do it. And neither one of these parties really have the courage to discipline their own. They don't have what Barry Goldwater had. And Barry Goldwater, I mean, there may be the equivalent on the left throughout the course of history. I'm sure there is. There was even one of my heroes, Abe Lincoln, was considering letting the southern states, keep their slaves for a while longer. Frederick Douglass caught wind of that, went over to see Lincoln and said these famous words to him. Do you want to win another election or do you want a legacy, Mr. President? And that's when President Lincoln, honest Abe, who was tempted, we all are tempted. Yes, that Abe. Thank God he didn't fall to the temptation that God sent a guy named Frederick Douglass with integrity, and yet a president that it cost him his life. He knew the animosity it did. By keeping that union together, he said, this is to keep the union together is the most important thing, and we're willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of lives to do that. And it wound up, you know, here this freedom fighter, the author of the Emancipation Proclamation, being killed by some crazy dude, happened to be an actor, jumps out and says, death to tyrants, because you were fair and honest. By some people, the way they process that, you're a tyrant. If you come and told the truth, about Hunter Biden, you would have people on the woke left that would call you a tyrant, anti-American. Why? Because somehow they would connect that with you supporting Donald Trump. And you're saying, no, I just want justice. Oh, yeah, right. You're a Trumpster. You're a MAGA. That's the world we're living in. That's why, as Larry said, it's so unusual to see real integrity and honesty and courage on display now, because it is not rewarded where it used to be.
Let me give you a little bit of a sense of what people are going through. There's a lack of stability. And whenever there's a lack of stability, anxiety increases. And you also have perpetual confusion on the part of, because you have what is supposed to be right and truth not being recognized. And so the internal structure, the way we're put together as people, is when you don't have stability and you have truth being denied and lies being affirmed, you have a time of craziness. And what that usually leads to for most people in America is a disassociation with what's going on and a retreat to the familiar. The familiar is home. The familiar is people around me that think like I do. And it's not an act of engagement in stopping something. So that's why we're not getting people to do things to stop what's going on, because they've retreated within themselves and their families and their comfort zones, and they don't want to hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
I've got so many friends couldn't tell me who the leaders are in any of the parties anymore.
Yeah,
they just
totally
know two names, Trump and Biden, and they don't want to know anything else.
And isn't it up to us old people to be informed?
Yeah.
Somebody said it the other day, Guillermo, and I thought it was just spot on, as you say. So people today don't want information, they want affirmation. They just want affirmation of what they already think. So they're going to turn to the channel, not information, especially if it's the truth. And I think as you get older, if God's seeing fit to let you continue to walk around the planet, you should try your best to be a wise old man, open to stimulate, to open debate, open dialogue, not some closed-minded old fool trying to run out the clock. And that's two choices. And if you want to do that, you just don't become informed. You say, listen, I'm going to withdraw. I got all the friends I'm going to have. And a lot of people like this.
Yeah.
I don't want new people in my life. I don't want new ideas in my life. I'm sitting pretty good. I'm taking a pension. I've saved some money. I just want life to be tranquil. I heard every morning when I get up.
Let me tell you what accelerated it.
And I'm just going to play, just play out this clock and don't.
COVID accelerated it.
Amen.
It gave us the opportunity to live life streaming rather than living. And as a result, I've been affirmed that by the government that it's okay for me not to leave my house.
Yeah.
All right. And to get all the information I want, and I can pick
or
and choose.
Affirmation that I want.
Yeah, and pick and choose that information. I don't have to listen to somebody else's point of view.
That's why I respect this guy down here. This guy so much, Guillermo Moreno. Through in the thick of all this stuff. You have always spoken your mind. I pray that you never lose that, even if it doesn't coincide with the way I think. You're a free thinker. And it's not above you to say, I've thought about it. I've listened to this. But you know what? I'm going to stick by what I said because I've given it thought. I've put it through my processes. I've thought about it. I prayed on it, whatever. But you're also not afraid to say, you know what? I know I said this, but I'm thinking on it and I'm praying on it. And I might be open to hearing more about this. That's what's made this country the great country. Free thinking, the ability to do that and not be punished or canceled.
Yeah. Well, it's not just me. I think it's everyone on our station, to be honest with you. It's you, it's Larry, it's our weekend programming, our religious programming, some of the talking heads. But let me tell you, when I got into radio, and Larry, you know what I'm talking about. My mentor said, hey, conservative radio is what I want you to do. When you go out there and you talk, 2-3 hours, you need to mirror the audience. All right. Because that person, they're listening to you in the car. They want to pretend like you're sitting right there, and they want that affirmation. They want to know that what they're thinking is absolutely correct and right. And that's the way I was trained in radio. You go out there and you affirm. And I think, unfortunately, over my career in radio, I'm realizing that, that could be a little dangerous. I remember the first year I was on radio, this guy called and goes, Guillermo, man, I am so ready to take up arms And I'm ready to march down to that state capitol. I was like, whoa, wait. Now I don't want you to do that. And then I realized, like, oh, this can be dangerous to a certain extent. And that's why, I don't mind sharing this seat or getting out of here and having someone that's a progressive, liberal, an Antifa member, a BLM member, because I believe that if you know how other individuals think, I think you have more respect for them. And remember, everybody started.
That's what William Buckley used to do. The most conservative. He'd have people on that he loved to have people on he didn't agree with.
Dialogue leads to resolutions that are good.
And friendship.
Friendship.
Who knows?
Let me recommend a book to folks. It's an old book, 1985, Robert Bellah, and it's Habits of the Heart, Individualism and Commitment in American Life. So, and I think I've said this before on your show, the garage door opener killed community feeling, because you can drive in and open it up electronically, drive in, close it behind you. You never have to know your neighbors. That's what Robert Bellah talks about, is that comfort level of being in a community where I'm responsible for other people in my community, is an important part of a fully functioning America. When we become COVID isolates, and affirm that as a new way of American life, that it's okay to be separate instead of engaging, that's when you end up with the kinds of craziness that you have in terms of the politicians who are running, the rules that get changed, right is wrong, wrong is right, because there's not the engagement that is necessary. And the front porch used to be where the engagement took place, but we no longer have front porches.
So instead of getting to know your neighbor, you just become suspicious of them right off the bat because you don't get to know them.
And I don't have to know them.
And that's how cities grow. We're doing it here in Fresno. I mean, it's just the way it's urbanism. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You go, you buy a cookie cutter house.
Get off my lawn.
You get the biggest. They don't even do lawns anymore.
Get off my artificial turf.
No water.
Because I bought it from Sin Lawn.
Yeah.
The best artificial fake turf on the. I said turf, didn't I? I said artificial fake.
They do turf.
I thought I said something else. I said artificial fake turf. No, fake turf. Turf. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got to get into this. I promised you all this UFO stuff. They had a House committee hearing.
What was that? See,
on the UFO.
CNN is talking about it right now.
Oh, God.
You know it's true.
You know how to blow a good thing, man. You got all the problems in the world, and you have a Republican committee get together on UFOs. Anyway, I know Guillermo's got a lot to say about that. Larry's got a lot to say about it. And we will be right back, unfortunately.
I needed money because I had none. I fought the line.
So not only am I going to you're going to go off and when I say the biblical evidence that I still can't find.
I may pick up the mic and start walking around and go to the audience.
Going to have a town hall right here.
What were the comments saying yesterday?
Have you heard Tim Scott lately? Boy, he started to Preacher Scott.
Yeah, I heard about
it. He's got full pastor, man. He had Hannity on there with Hannity. Hannity asked him a question. He bolted out that chair and he came in and goes, let me tell you why America's great. America's great because a man like me can be born into poverty. He can overcome that poverty, go to school, get a dream. Can I have an amen?
Amen.
And, I mean, it's actually fun.
I love it when a pastor asks what time it is and then says, well, we don't do time here. God doesn't have time.
Yeah. What was that, Larry? How you know that a sermon is going to be about an hour? When the pastor says, in closing.
Yeah.
In closing,
means we got one more hour.
I mean, settle in.
Let me just get to this next verse. Can I get an amen, church? And then that reminds them of another verse. And then before you know
right. I love it.
Okay, so speaking about the Bible, Larry, in the Bible, it talks about beings, right? And then that we were the sinful beings, right? Where was this where they were other beings and earthly beings were like the worst out of all of them?
Where did that indicate anything other than the earth? You said earth about 5 times.
No, I know, but I know it's in the Bible somewhere.
You looking for
You're
unidentified flying?
No, he's looking for
It's
affirmation
not gonna
instead
say,
of information.
It's not going to say UFO.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible's not going to say God created the aliens on the
1 minute.
9th day.
Here's what we don't know. We don't know what playgrounds God has created. Okay. We know the ours, and that's it.
Mic drop right there.
There, I think he's talking about the earth. The Garden of Eden was here, not on Saturn. There's no indication of anything remotely resembling a human life or a insect that
30
breathing.
seconds.
There was other life forms, and humans were
Why
the
do you
only
know that
bad
when there's
sinless.
zero evidence of it?
There's it's in the Bible
You know,
somewhere. Larry, help me out.
Your hypothesis holds water except for evidence. I'm sorry that I happen to be one of those guys that need a little
It
evidence.
is. You know what? I'm looking this up. It might have been our prophet Ellen White that thought
10
of this,
seconds?
but I'm going to get this.
5 seconds.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Simlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood.
Who you think you are?
Mr. Big Stuff. Well, who do you think you are? Guillermo, otherwise known as
Truth
the
bearer.
big queso here,
The
big
truth-
cheese enchilada. Okay, I'm going to let you go. We got, about 7 minutes left. Give me your case for UFO. But first of all, I just got to express my deep disappointment in Congressman Byron Donalds, the rising star in Florida. Gosh, I love this young man. So articulate, so passionate, so inspiring about America, what America is, what America can be. I see him as presidential material. Then it all comes to a crushing halt. The Republicans have this hearing. All the problems, inflation, the border, Ukraine war, all the stuff going on. And the Republican House has a committee hearing on UFOs. And they have the so-called whistleblower. I don't doubt he's whistling, but it ain't coming out of his mouth. He's whistling out of another orifice of his body that he says there he's seen wreckage of the UFO. Guillermo, jump in here anytime because Byron Donalds has jumped in full-fledged, goes, I believe it, 100%.
Alan.
I believe the government is hiding a crashed UFO. Byron Donalds said, I believe that 100%. I'm sitting in my living room and I'm going, no,
Alan.
don't
Alan.
go there, man.
These congressmen and women, would yes or no, answer the question, yes or no, are they privy to information that you and I are not privy to?
They're not incapable to see something that's not there.
But yes or no? Are
Yes,
yes.
but it's not necessarily true. They're privy to.
Do you think the money to be made if you actually were a whisperer, you saw it, you took a picture, you really think this country could keep that kind of secret that someplace stored is a crashed UFO? Who cares in government right now about this country more than they could care about the millions of dollars they would make if they could blow that story? If they could make that story come through, they would make a fortune. You don't see anybody coming forward making money off of this. That's my big test. Nothing is secret here, especially a UFO and the bodies in there, the bodies being, and you look at it, I've seen better set decorations on our movies than we do locally. There's this stuffed doll. There's this stuffed doll with a big head and big eyes. Yeah, it is. Here's the alien.
So all of these unidentified
And then you try to tell me that the Bible says
it is in the Bible. I can't find it right now. But it talks about fallen beings and aliens. Now you really think I'm crazy.
They fell to earth.
According to scripture.
This earth.
Which I don't know which scripture it is.
This earth.
Aliens are sinless.
E.T. did not write one of the Gospels.
Aliens we are the worst of the beings. All right? Humans are. And so we're upon this fallen earth together, but there are other worlds. And like Larry said during the break, come on in, Larry.
The Hubble telescope has gone deep, deep, deep. All they find is darkness and dying stars and a big black hole that's going to suck us all in there.
We're assuming
they don't see any life anywhere.
The Hubble that is the
Well, who's that?
limitation of the
No,
human
they got
mind.
the other mic. They have the other telescope out there now that sees farther than. Wouldn't there be something that you would see? You're saying that these aircraft come and they get off the side of another plane and follow the plane around a little dot down there? Come on, they see something on video. Pardon me, we're in the area of artificial intelligence. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to believe any image. I'm prepared where they show the flying saucer land in New York or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, have a conversation with a fisherman and a politician. I still won't believe it because it's going to be AI.
Larry, help me out here. Larry, help me out.
As a pastor, I have to cage it in these words. Let you know, there's no evidence that we have of life outside of what we have and the redemptive qualities that God has provided. There's also nothing that tells us he couldn't have done that. Okay? So we don't have either way in the Bible.
So he loves us more than he would life on another planet. So he sent Jesus just here. Jesus,
how do we know that?
You can't go to the other planet to save the other people.
They're not sinful.
We're going to let Jesus just walk here.
Boy, we're going to get some comments on this. I think you got to remember that, we have finite minds. God has an infinite mind. But he did choose to show his creative salvation for us. We know that. And so when I talk about beings, there were heavenly beings that were cast out of heaven because they chose to rebel and follow Lucifer and things like that. But it's not ones that have the same choices that we have the same redemptive abilities that we have through talking to the Lord, asking for salvation. So it's a really crazy area to talk about without about a 3-hour seminar.
But Larry, you gave us an answer where it's like both of them. I could be right and Alan could be right, right?
No,
that's what right. That's exactly what he said.
No, I'm right.
No, Alan.
No, I'm right.
No,
I'm as closed-minded as a closed-minded person, and I have by other standards a real open mind. But let me tell you, Byron Donalds, you will never find that. You're right. That wreckage. You know why? Because
the government doesn't want you to find it.
It's impenetrable. It's being guarded by 5 unicorns, Bigfoot and Sasquatch, and Casper the Friendly Ghost. They are there guarding the wreckage there. So try to get past that trifecta.
And Bugs Bunny, whose 83rd birthday just happened last week.
And if you make it inside, they have about 1,000 crazy, venomous leprechauns ready to jump on you. So I know you believe in all of those, Mr. Donalds. So don't try to go there. You'll never find it. You can't penetrate that kind of security.
I'm not saying that aliens are among
aliens left the cocaine. No, aliens left the cocaine at the White House.
I'm not saying they're among us.
This is the Alien Autry show.
I'm not saying they're among us like right now, like Jeremy is really an alien.
Yeah. You want to build a wall up there? Just build a wall up in space so the aliens can't get in here. Yeah, let's go up there and build like this big metal circle wall.
I'm telling you,
because they want to come and destroy the world.
You honestly
build the wall now in outer space. While we still can
in the infinite space. You're
Show
saying,
me any evidence.
Maybe we're too early to know, and
maybe I believe in God. What a concept!
And you think God only created us?
Bingo.
No, I'm not. Do you think
where does it say? Do you believe in the Bible?
Yeah, absolutely.
You show me where any place in that Bible says that God created any kind of even semblance of a humanoid individual.
Larry, show him.
On another planet.
Show him.
All right. The Bible clearly indicates that the fate of the universe, every other planet and star, is forever linked to God's timetable for mankind and the earth. So, he has made the earth the center point of his affection and of what he's going to provide down the line for heaven, the new heaven and the new earth coming here and things. And so we don't have any evidence of anything outside of this. And when you think about created in 7 days, yes, 1 day is like 1,000 years to the Lord.
Amen.
1,000 years is like a 1 day. We don't have time, which you mentioned earlier. We don't have the time perspective because When God sees time, it's all at one time. When we see time, it's specific right here to right now. We can't see in the future and we can't see the behind in the past. God sees it all at the same time. So it's something that's very difficult for us to understand. What he chooses to do, and what I believe he has chosen to do, is to provide us with a redemptive story that leads us to being with him eternally, should we choose
Here
to do
on
so.
earth and in heaven after we die.
But don't forget, God was sent to us from where?
Oh, God, what are you going to say? From another planet? No, from heaven. From heaven. Oh, gosh, to be continued. Folks, thanks for turning into this.
See you next Wednesday.
God bless, love you. Good Lord, will a creek don't rise. See you tomorrow. Just do your best. Let God do the rest. And everything's going to be all right. Love y'all. Bye-bye now. Oh, God.
Just sing a song.